the American boxing school?
For sure. You know, Emmanuel Stewart, Sugar Hill, I believe are the best trainers that's ever been, some of them. And I'm being taught by the best, so, you know, I don't think I can get a better teacher than Sugar. One thing that Sugar is, he's not a boxing trainer, he's a boxing teacher. And it's a massive thing, but today's fighters, they don't understand the difference in a boxing teacher and a boxing trainer. But Sugar's definitely a teacher, and I'm very happy with the place I'm in.
Tyson Fury just basically summed the whole fight up in so many words, but I'm going to get back to that. If you notice right here, Malik Scott breaking to the left, breaking to the right, you know, you got to remember what kind of fighter Malik Scott was. He was a defensive first fighter. He tried to be a slickster. And I mean, of course, we know that he threw a couple fights, but ultimately he was a defensive first guy. That's very important because trainers have styles too. And like Tyson Fury told you, they're teachers and they're trainers. And even though they keep screaming knockout, they're going to fight very defensive like his coach was when he was a fighter. Listen to this.
Here. Now, if the jab is coming from up here, we get jab, we parry. Go jab, parry. Now, when they get comfortable, this is after you create a comfortable environment, and they're used to jabbing from here. Then we jab from there. Then we. This is not a round one or round two. This is after you broke somebody down. Now they can't be discombobulated from what? Your natural power. But you've already set it up.
Like he said, not a round one or a round two move. They're, believe it or not, going to try to go in there and outbox Tyson Fury. And I don't know if that's the best course of action. But wait, there's more.
Everything they think you can't do, you can do it 10 times better than they even think. I mean, bro? They don't see you coming. That's going to be the beauty in this. Not only is you going to get it back, but you're going to do it in a way that they never expect. They never expect.
I see me beating them up and then knocking them out.
Beating them up and knocking them out means that they're going to try to systematically break them down. But Malik Scott is a effective trainer, you know, with Deontay Wilder. Right here, he's actually teaching. Deontay Wilder normally shells up when he's tired, and Malik Scott pops that hand right there and doesn't let him do that. But there's one habit that Deontay Wilder has that Malik Scott can't fix. It would take him years to fix this and a lot of drilling, and that's that he takes his eyes off his opponent when he slips to his right. If you go back and look at the first fight with Tyson Fury, he was floored because he linked his body over to the side and turned his head just like that right there. And the looping shot caught him in his blind spot. That's a flaw that Deontay Wilder has that he's going to bring into this fight that Malik Scott can't fix, because he even gets hit by the slip bag at some point right there. And if you can't get your head out of the way of a slip bag that you know is coming, how are you ever going to get your head out of the way of a punch? Especially when someone knows how to loop it into your blind spot. We've seen countless videos coming from Deontay Wilder's trainer. How many have we seen come from Sugar Hill? A little bit, right? That's the difference between a teacher and a trainer. On the other hand, not only is Malik Scott a rookie when it comes to this type of event, but also he reads and responds to comments. Check him out.
They call me a hype man. We're going to fix all that. I'm Deontay Wilder's hype man. I'm Deontay Wilder's head trainer. I'm Deontay Wilder's spiritual lifter. I am the voice of Deontay Wilder when he don't feel like talking. Deontay Wilder's my brother. Label that whatever you want. If you guys see me training fighters in the future, when I train a fighter, it's me.
He's so desperate to prove that he's qualified that he uploads videos on his Instagram of him training other fighters. All Sugar Hill has to do is go to his Instagram and he'll see exactly how they're going to fight him. That's a rookie mistake. A teacher would never make that mistake. But that's why there's a difference between a trainer and a teacher. Because even though there's not a lot of clips of Wilder, he's not going to train his other fighters different than he trains Wilder. The same game plan that Breland had, he has, which is the body work. Listen to him talking about getting in position to land the body shots.
So it's almost like if I'm looking at your head, I'm really thinking about your belly button. If I throw a 1, 2, 3 at your head, I'm really using the left hook to your head as not an in-tempo shot. That right there is the momentum to give me the liver shot. I'm dressing you up to go downstairs. I'm dressing you up downstairs to go upstairs, especially if I'm tall, because even though you ain't turning that into that, by you getting over here, it's putting you in a position to get more with the liver shot. But if this is back here and you didn't hit, you're just giving basically half a body to a liver shot. You bring this up and give this some power right there, everything's going to go to that liver. Remember? I mean, put that in play.
Buddy McGirt said the pad work they were doing was choreographed and that anybody could look good on pads, and guess who responds? Choreographed pad work.
Nowhere near finished with that. This is me and Deontay, first fight together, and people are already saying they seeing a difference on pads. So we'll go with humane run with. Everyone look good on pads. No, they don't. That's selective. I don't like choreographic pad work, so that don't look good to me. If you're saying everyone look good on pads, that means you're saying you like choreographed pad work. I don't like that shit. I like with Errol Spence and Derek Edwards too. I like the kind of pad work Emmanuel Stewart did. Like, you know what I mean? I like settled, realistic pad work. At times you step it up, but this is not nothing choreographed about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? That me and Deontay.
But like I said, he is helping Deontay Wilder out by teaching him the basic fundamentals. Check him out. So he's teaching him how to disengage, read, and feint, and come in behind a jab, which is something Deontay Wilder is not accustomed to. And I don't take Deontay Wilder as a slick boxer, but all the videos they posted where Deontay Wilder was dancing, he's teaching him rhythm. Check him out. He's teaching him how to fight in rhythm. He's also teaching Deontay Wilder to keep his hands in front of his face to block the pass to the punch. Check him out.
Empire to get through before trying to get to me since I switched my direction. So I'm jabbing you this way. I'm jabbing you this way. I decide I want to go to my right. You're in position. Right, I'm jabbing you. I'm jabbing. Going this way. Going this way. Going this way. Going this way. When I decide I'm going to go to my right, I'm not just going to say, boom, boom. No, it doesn't go like that. Or I'm not just going to say, or do a skip like that. Because in that time, you can close the space on me, you can get something done to me. I'm just going to make a simple step to my right, and I'm going to have this here to block anything you try to do. On my territory, I'm going to have this hand here to catch the phone for your left hook. Or if you guys try to throw a jab at me, I can be able to parry it. If you try to throw a left hook, I can catch it. If you try to throw a right hand, I can parry it. But I'm not going to just go to my right and be irresponsible with my hands like this because I'm thinking I'm cool and cute. And I don't have a price to pay with my hands like this. Because people close the space with close space with left hook right hand. Boom. You get what I'm trying to say? But now if I make the responsibility and go to my right, whatever you try to do, here. You get what I'm trying to say? I'm going to discourage you. You know what I'm saying? So go to your left, but when I tell you to go to your right, be responsible. Don't just go to your right like this. No, go to your right with intent. Steps, not skips. Don't cross feet. At the elite level, that'll cost you. All right?
As you can see, Deontay Wilder executing what Malik Scott taught him, throws the combination, keeps the hand out there, and then throws the right hand. Here's another example of him keeping his hands in front of his face to close the lane so he can't close the distance and just knock him out with a punch. He's also teaching him the whole body as a target. Check him out.
That's it. Great job. Tyson, show me. Stop the elbow. That's it.
So they're not just directing the jab at their head, they're targeting the shoulders and everything else, which is actually not a bad game plan. Now, let me get to this. This is why I say there's a difference between a trainer and a teacher. Deontay Wilder's training camp is in Alabama in his backyard. Where's Tyson Fury's training camp? It's in Vegas. You know why? Because he wants to get acclimated to the altitude. In their first meeting, I believe Deontay Wilder's legs wasn't there, but it was because of what Tyson Fury was doing and the altitude and the moment Vegas is the fight capital of the world, and we all know this. Deontay Wilder hasn't fought that many times in Vegas, and every time he does, he doesn't look good. The second Ortiz fight, before he erased everybody's memory, he was looking awful in that fight. But because he's an energy man and it affected him in the first fight, it's going to play a factor in the second fight. Trust me.
So I always react off of my energy of things. So once I receive that.
So with that being said, it's going to play a factor in this fight, and Deontay Wilder is going to look awful in this fight, no matter what Malik Scott taught him. And I see this fight like Roy Jones Jr. versus Antonio Tarver. You remember they fought the first time, Roy barely beat him, but his ego couldn't take it, and he made excuses. He fought him the second time with the famous line, "Is there any excuses tonight, Roy?" And then the third time they fought, Roy Jones went back to his father and didn't fight for a whole entire year. Sound familiar? Yeah, because it's the exact same situation happening again. And that fight went 12 rounds, and I think this one will too. There was times that Roy hurt him and didn't close the deal because the mental. Tyson Fury is very long, and I think a body attack like right here where Deontay Wilder has to stretch his legs and put himself out of position, it might not pan out that well for Deontay Wilder because Tyson Fury has very good eyes and legs, and Wilder does not. This is from the first fight where Mark Breland's game plan was to go to the body. You see Deontay Wilder puts the high guard on and then jabs Tyson Fury to the body and doesn't even touch him because, like I said, he's taller and longer and he has very good eyes and feet. Also, Tyson Fury was backing up a lot in this fight. He's going to come forward. And every time he made a forward posture in the first fight, Deontay Wilder froze because the range he was having difficulty with the range. But like I said, look, he leans his head to the right because he's so right-hand dominant. He puts himself out of position for follow-up shots. And Tyson Fury throws punches from unorthodox angles, like right there. And that punch puts him back on his right. Look at it. Look where his head is. Facing the ground. That's why he's going to be vulnerable to shots like that. This is the first fight. Remember, a lot of people didn't think he got hurt in the first fight. He definitely got hurt in the first fight. And it was by that same right hand that hurt him in the second fight. Watch what happens when Tyson Fury stands in front of him, and doesn't move around like he did a lot in the first fight. Flick that jab. He puts his head right back down to the ground on the right side trying to slip punches. That time he added a roll and Tyson Fury didn't take advantage, but if he'd have threw the right hand, he'd have knocked him. Now watch here. Tyson Fury doesn't even throw a power jab. He throws a flicking jab. And where does Deontay Wilder's head go? Straight to the ground. Straight to the ground. He tries to come up with his money punch, the right hand. But Tyson Fury, he was also vulnerable for a right hand itself. And like I told you in my other breakdown that they took off YouTube, he complains to the ref about a rabbit punch. That was a legal punch. He thinks it's a rabbit punch because he turns his head to him. And you can't turn your head to a fighter and then expect him not to hit you in the back of the head. But watch here, Deontay Wilder, I think will have some success with the body shot. He breaks to his right and then throws the body punch, but Tyson Fury blocks it because he's not, even though he has a big body, he's not just going to let you sit there and hit him to the body. That's why Deontay Wilder abandoned the body game plan in the first fight. Now, I just told you about Deontay Wilder looking to the ground. Look at Tyson Fury's eyes. Wide. He never takes him off his opponent. He sees everything. That's the difference. And it's going to be a determining factor in the fight. Go back and look at the first fight in the third round. Deontay Wilder didn't have his legs spread wide. He actually had good balance. And here, he tries to come in with good balance. The only difference between that fight and this fight is he knows Deontay Wilder can be hurt by his shots. And like I said, look at Deontay Wilder's eyes, slipping his head to the right, creating a blind spot for a looping right hand. And when he leans to that right side, the right hand's normally coming, but he sees he can't reach because Tyson, after missing all the headshots, goes back to the body. And what does Tyson Fury do? He smothers the body attack and doesn't let him work. And now he knows how to fight on the inside, working with Sugar Hill. Breaks off of Tyson Fury for 6 rounds. The moment that he gets hit in that blind spot, the pace of the fight is going to change. So I'm going to have to give Tyson Fury the edge in this fight. The one little knock that you can give Tyson Fury is that he's never defended a title. But I think it's hard for him to get out of bed if he doesn't have he likes to be the underdog and play that role. But listen to what he thinks about titles.
Just take it fight by fight, day by day, because the only thing that I'm really concerned about is just to be happy. I don't box for titles or belts or for money or for fame or glory. That's all finished. That's all been accomplished. I've won every single belt there is to win in boxing. and I've done everything that I ever dreamed of and more. I only box for happiness because it brings me happiness.
I just don't think it's a good battle plan to try to fight somebody based off of rhythm who's really unorthodox and doesn't even know what he's going to do. I think it's a bad battle plan, and for that reason, I'm going to go with Tyson Fury in 12 rounds. And if there is a knockout, it's going to be in the round that Deontay Wilder predicted he was going to knock him out in, because as we've seen with Holyfield and Lennox Lewis, when you make bold predictions like that and they don't come true, you kind of lose luster and get hopelessness, and then that's the wrong place to get hopelessness. But anyway, you'd have to have been in the ring before to understand what I'm saying. It mentally drains you when you lose hope in the ring. But if you like my content and like this video, go subscribe to my boy Real Talk Boxing for the latest boxing news. I'm gonna let Emmanuel Stewart and Bernard Hopkins take this video home. Listen to Emmanuel Stewart predict Tyson Fury's reign. But anyway, it's the Boxing Scholar, and I'm out.
On a solid training program, whichever way else it really gets into, it's just boxing. With his natural talent and his engaging personality and his physical size, he's going to be a big factor in boxing. I've said that after Latimer, he's going to be the next dominant heavyweight. I said that when I had Lennox, and he was asking me who was going to be the dominant. I said Latimer and Klitschko, the younger Klitschko kid who just won the Olympics. And after Latimer was knocked out, he asked me, we had a training camp about 2 weeks after he'd been knocked out by Sanders. And I was rubbing his head, and he says, Manny, he says, are you still so high on the Klitschko boy? You know, he was just knocked out. And I said, yep. I have the article in the magazine. I said, he's going to be the dominant heavyweight after you. He's going to dominate like you are. And then the first thing after Lennox quits boxing with Vitali, after he fights Vitali, he asked me to trade him. I come over, I start trading him. And then he gets stopped the first fight with Brewster. And Lennox said, are you still? I said, yeah, I know what happened. I know he was drugged. I mean, the doctor showed me what I said. And you're going to say, I'm staying with him. He's going to be the next dominant heavyweight. And now he is. But I always knew Latimer, and I understood both losses. I knew the Sanders was coming out all not, prepared, got hit, but he was still getting up the fight. He wasn't even knocked out. And so I understood it. So I've stayed with him in here like 9 years later. He did exactly what Lennox did. I had 9 years with Lennox we had to run. And Latimer may pass Lennox up now. I think that the best fighter coming up right now is Tyson, but I don't know if he'll ever get stabilized.